What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Coach Bernie, and this is another episode of Focus Up. I am super excited about this week's Focus Up because this month is Black History Month. And for Black History Month, we're going to be highlighting women of color that have made a real impact in the sport of volleyball. And our first interview this week is with Olympian Jordan Thompson. That's right, you heard it, Olympian Jordan Thompson. She had a moment to speak to our club back in 2020 when she was going through the trials. And now that she's won gold, she's come back to talk to us. So after this brief highlight of Jordan Thompson, check out my interview with her. All right, y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy. Peace. Hey, Jordan.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good,
Good to
good.
see you. Good to see you. I think the last time we spoke, you were actually preparing for the Olympic trials, and you were. I think you were in California at the time. I think you might have been going to Turkey, but this is right as COVID was hitting.
Yeah.
How's it going
It's
since that
going
point?
well. Yeah, I'm back in California now, just rehabbing my ankle, the same injury from the Olympics. So I'm getting healthy.
Good, good, glad to hear it. So when we first last talked to you, you were preparing for the Olympics, for the Olympic trial. Tell us a little bit about this journey. How do you prepare for the Olympics? How's that process, begin, and obviously how did it feel at the end when you were chosen to be on the Olympic team to actually standing on that medal, receiving your gold medal?
Yeah, I mean, I think any Olympic quad, the 4 years, they're intense and there's a lot that changes and happens. And so I think when you add COVID into the mix, it gets even crazier. Obviously, with COVID, we had the Olympics postponed for a summer. And so initially that was a little bit, I guess, scary because we didn't really know what was going to happen. But I think it was definitely a blessing in disguise to be able to have another year to prepare. And then we actually found out the Olympic roster while we were at another tournament called VNL, and we were in a bubble in Italy. And so that was a crazy experience in and of itself, just to, you have some people who are super like on this big high because they're so happy that they made the roster, but also at the same time you're feeling these deep feelings of sadness because you know that not everybody made the roster, and you just
Sure.
wish that everybody could go, because everyone played such a huge part in getting our team to that place to be able to go to Tokyo. And so there were a lot of feelings. It was sort of like a roller coaster of emotions, and then also trying really, really hard not to get COVID throughout the entire summer. But it was a really beautiful journey.
Nah, yeah, you're right. It was definitely a thing of the summer, trying not to get COVID, and especially after you work so hard, for something like that, so simple to happen and possibly could derail everything. Yeah, I'm sure
Right.
that was a process. But we also noticed that there is a certain amount of mental or physical training that you had to go through to get to that point. Just briefly touch on that for 1 second. What was that training like physically?
The training, a lot of it was done in our professional season overseas. And so you're kind of trying to prepare for the summer. You don't get a lot of time. Once you get to the national team gym, it's sort of like you need to be on your game right away. And for me, I was actually playing outside with my professional team. And then I needed to make the switch back to playing as an opposite. And so that was a little bit of a challenge for me. I wanted to make sure that I was making that switch quickly and efficiently, to show that I was capable of playing at a high level and to really compete for that Olympic spot.
Right, right. So, as you know, I coach a club team here in Chicago, and I want to ask you to take yourself back to your club days, especially it's Black History Month. As a player of color, woman of color playing club volleyball, and what did it feel like? Was it noticeable to you that you were one of few, or that it was predominantly white, or even not as strong black as it should be? How do you
Mhm.
feel going through the club process, or even back then, especially in Minnesota and in some of the other areas that you've played in? How'd you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that I noticed, that there weren't a lot of women of color in the sport. I think it's definitely growing now, and I think there are a lot of people doing the work to try to break down those barriers and the things that keep um, people of color from engaging in the sport, which I think is amazing. But I think it was definitely something I noticed growing up, and it's not that it made me uncomfortable, but I just knew I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me playing. And so when I would see women who looked like me or girls who looked like me growing up, like at a club tournament, I was always like really excited to see that, just because I know that you just have this special connection with other women of color, and you know that they're able to relate to you and understand you. And so I think it's growing up and having the privilege now to be able to help break down those barriers and help more black women and women of color be able to play volleyball and play it at a high level because they're 100% capable of doing so is something that's really important to me now.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Now, as you know, I'm here in Chicago trying to encourage as many women of color, black girls, to play volleyball. It's not easy. It's not an easy road. But what advice could you give to a young black girl here in Chicago or nationally about the mental toughness, about pushing through some of these, overcoming some of these obstacles, and pushing through this mental barrier sometimes when you or mental walls when you run into them? What advice would you give to them on overcoming such things?
Yeah. I think, you know, nowadays we're all about instant gratification, right? And so it's really easy to sort of get down on yourself when you don't see those improvements, or you're not making the team you want to make, or your coach isn't playing you as much as you want to play. And so it's easy to let those things sort of get in and take root and cause all these negative thoughts. But when you're playing sports, I think it teaches us patience and mental toughness. And that's huge because you're not going to go start a sport one day and be the best player in that sport. You don't pick up a basketball and turn into LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Kobe. Like, it takes time, and it's not something that's beautiful or glamorous, but that hard work day in and day out is so important. And I think, you're doing it for the long term results. You're not doing it for that instant gratification. And so I think that can be really challenging. But once you get this mindset of, I'm just going to be a sponge, I'm going to be the hardest worker in the room, I'm going to be so determined, I'm not going to let someone tell me no, I'm going to be the best player in the gym. And you go day in and day out with that mentality, and you go into every practice and every training and every game with that mentality, you're going to grow, and there's no denying that. And so I think the mental toughness is really huge.
Well, no, thank you for that. My girls and probably other girls need to hear that. It's not something that comes quickly. Is you got to put in the work. Well, Jordan, I want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to meet with us. We wish you all the best. We're always
Thank
cheering for
you.
you. Whatever your next plan is, we're going to be right there cheering you on,
Thank you.
and whatever you do. So thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Nah, no problem. All right, folks, that's another episode of Focus Up. I look forward to seeing you guys again as we continue our series for Black History Month. This is your boy, Coach Bernie, guys. Peace.